Welcome, everybody. This is Beer Guys Radio. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. We always appreciate that. We are not going to dilly or dally this evening. We're going to get into the show. If you have comments, drop them in the comments where whatever platform you're watching us on. We'd love to hear what beer you're drinking, any insight you have in anything we're chatting about, or just your thoughts on life. So, is there a song, something about that? No, that's God. Tell me all your thoughts on
Oh, tell me all your
God.
thoughts on God. Dishwalla from like
That's
the 90s. Yeah,
yeah.
dang,
So
that
good
takes me back.
stuff, man. Back in the day, back in the day. But with that said, y'all, here we go. Welcome, everybody. This is the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. We always appreciate that. Good times, having a beer, having some conversations, learning what's going on in the world of beer. And who knows? I mean, who knows? The world's crazy right now, so there's really no telling what exactly is going on.
Indeed.
Yeah, but I'm Tim Dennis, as always, and Brian Hewitt. How are you doing?
I am also Brian as always. So I'm doing
Yeah,
okay. It's been you know what? I had something I was gonna say right now and it escaped my mind.
it
I'm just gonna
happens.
let it go. I'm feeling kind of
Let
relaxed.
it
I'm a
go,
little
Brian.
tired, but
Yeah.
I feel upbeat. I'm just glad
You
to
stay a
be
little
here drinking a
relaxed,
beer.
a little tired,
Li-
a little relaxed, did
Little
you say?
tired and relaxed both, which
Okay.
is actually not a bad place to be.
It is not. It is not a bad combination at all. So, yeah, man, good stuff. Good stuff. Nate, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Went camping over the weekend, so I got some beers from North Carolina, which is where I was located
Okay.
for tonight's show. So I'm just excited to be back here and back at it.
Get some new beers in your life, huh?
Well, one of them's new. The other ones are I've had before.
Okay. Just
I'm
get
interested
get
in
just
that
get
new
some
one.
beers in your life then is the
Beers,
way it
yeah,
goes
just
there.
just having the good life.
Yeah, Brian, before we get into beer, we have some very important information to discuss. Following up on a story that we covered a little while ago regarding Pringles. And
Yes.
they had some interesting flavors coming up. And Brian, you actually sourced some of these crazy Pringles,
I did succeed in finally finding, and they came out in. They were supposed to be released in May, but I didn't see them for weeks. And
right?
I was making a point anytime I went to a grocery store, not obsessively, but I'd swing past the Pringles and look, and it wasn't there. And then I saw a big display in a grocery store that last week, and I picked up the beer can chicken and the grilled beer brat. I think there might have been a third one. I didn't see it, and we both sampled them this weekend. I
We
brought
did.
them around,
Yeah.
and I have opinions, but what did you think of what you tasted? Do you recall?
I do, Brian. So I will say the grilled beer brat. It's you remember Willy Wonka and the gum that was like the whole meal, and the more you chewed it, other flavors came out.
Oh yeah,
So in the beer brat one, that's what I kind of got. Like when you first take a bite of it and you're chewing it there, it did taste a little meaty, I guess. And then as I ate it more, I'm like, okay, I see bratwurst. I get the spices and then stuff in there. And then I'm sure you've had beer brats before, right?
yeah.
Or so and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I get a beer note here too, like cooking your brats in beer. So that one, I think they got it. I thought the flavor was okay, Brian. I'm not sure that's something I want in a potato chip necessarily. And the beer can chicken, I didn't necessarily get beer flavor in that. And I think beer can chicken is you take a can of beer and you wedge it up in that sucker and then set it up right on the grill, and the beer steams through the chicken
Yes.
there. So I got a chickeny flavor, and yeah, kind of a a salty chicken chip was what it was on that. I didn't find either of them offensive. And if I was sitting around and there was a can of them there and I wanted some chips, I would eat them. I'll say that. But they're not going to be a flavor that I hunt down.
I have definitely munched on them a bit. I
Okay.
we only
Yeah.
had a few of them over the weekend, and I've been hitting them while I've been sitting here. And I agree with you there. I don't think either of them is showstoppers. I gotta have it type of thing. I think the grilled beer brat's fine, and I think of the two, that might be a little bit more better. The flavors might be better incorporated together, so it's more of maybe more of an accurate showing as to what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
I didn't get
Yeah.
as much of the beer exactly, but I kind of got beer brats. So that,
Right.
you know, if that makes sense. The beer can chicken was a lot more obviously chicken and also beer to me. I did get the beer in that.
You did get the beer in. Okay.
And
All right. Yeah.
it was very very distinct. Like, oh, there's definitely chicken in that, like maybe chicken or chicken bouillon or something like that. And then as I was sitting there, I'm like, oh yeah, definitely beer in that too. So I'm like, that one was very accurate to me. I think I might like that one more, but I wouldn't say either of them were great. Exactly. They're fine. They're fun. They're different. I don't feel the need to go out and get any more of them now that I have done this, but I've kind of felt that way about every one of the interesting Pringles I've seen recently. Now that I know they're doing these weird collaborations, I glance and see what else there is.
See what's there.
And they're fine. They're fine. They're not quite, I mean, they're not Doritos, man. That's what I'm saying. I'd rather have some Doritos or some sour cream and what's the one from Lay's, sour cream and onion or whatever it is?
Sour cream and onion.
Yeah, whatever one that is. That's fantastic. Or no, it's cheddar and sour cream is the one I really like.
Okay, they do have a sour cream and onion as well, so you know there's that.
Both
so
are good.
Years ago, and I'm talking decades. I don't remember if it was a national brand or like a regional brand, but there was a brand that made sour cream and clam potato chips.
Sour cream and clam.
And it sounds weird, but they were great. And I don't even know if it's still a thing, but there used to be a clam dip that was pretty popular. And I think maybe it had horseradish in it. So it was like chopped clams and like a creamy dip in the horseradish. And that, again, we're talking, you know, I'm probably talking late 70s, early 80s in this, but it was popular at the time 4 decades ago, Brian. And we were just on the tail end of like meat in Jello. So, I mean, that's not that far fetched there, you know, to have that kind of thing. But, you know, Tyler commented, he's like, everything's going cheesy. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that. And talking about chip flavors, you and I stumbled on these chips one time that the flavor was stadium nacho.
I love those.
And they taste exactly like the cheap nachos you get. They come in a little plastic rectangular container, and then there's a little hole, a little bowl on the side where they put cheese. Like you could dip them or you put it over there. And it's got like the juice of pickled jalapenos in there. So these chips tasted just like what you would get, like a stadium nacho, like a cheap stadium nacho. And they're pretty on point. They did that. So, and I don't know, Tyler, that I wanted in my beer, but I'm okay with things going cheesy. Most things plus cheese is a pretty good combination.
You know, I still look for those anytime I walk down the chip aisle.
Yeah.
I think Publix carries the brand locally. I think it's Wise, WISE that made it. I don't think they make it anymore. I still look just to see if it's by some chance has come back. And no, I've never seen it in the wild. I don't even know where we got
little gas station up the corner. It's a little convenience store I never stop in, like on the back roads from my house. And I don't even remember what we stopped there for, but we saw those and we're like, hey, those sound good. So that's how we discovered them. And yeah, our lives have never been the same since.
Wasn't that tied into something else, maybe with that brand or something else, where there was some kind of a prison type of flavor that they did? You know what I'm talking about? Like some sort of
totally
combination of chips or something?
And I don't remember the flavor, but there is a flavor of chip that apparently is available like only in the prison system. There's a company that provides foods for the prisons. And there's a chip flavor, and I guess people who've been incarcerated, they get out and Nate, would you hit Google and search for prison potato chips? I'm sure it'll come up because apparently there's guys that have been incarcerated that get out and they miss these chips. And I think now they're actually available for consumer purchase that you can get them.
Really?
And, yeah. What'd you find?
Let's see.
Nate?
So the Whole Shebang is a brand of seasoned snacks made by the Keith Group. Yep. It specializes in serving in prison population.
There you go. Yeah, the Whole Shebang chips. I think I got those one time. Did you try those, Brian?
I don't think I've ever tried those. I
may look. So for those that don't know, everybody wish Brian a happy belated birthday. He had a birthday recently. And
I did.
Brian, I actually hit the internet searching for stadium nacho chips to get you for your birthday. And I couldn't even find them online, man. So
That would have been amazing had
I
you done
think
that.
yeah,
That would have
I-
been possibly the greatest present ever because
yeah,
I've looked, and I think in the past I've seen them for sale because people would put that kind of stuff up on the eBay for
right.
$900 because somebody's going to be that desperate for it. I want them. I'd like to have them again. I'd like to have something like that because I enjoy that flavor. I know it's not highfalutin. It's really kind of a, I don't know, trailer trashy flavor. I don't know. I don't care. I
Absolutely.
just like
And
it.
love every minute of it,
I
man.
love it. I love it. It's like putting caviar in Doritos. I'm there for it. You know,
This is the greatest trash ever. Yeah, good
it's
stuff. So
right.
there's our recent chip adventures, everybody. So it's been a fun ride. But with all that said, let's get into our beers of the week. Brian, what are you drinking?
So I pre-gamed with Creature Comforts Sundoku. It's a Japanese rice lager. I have no idea if I said that name right, but the name is a reference to collecting books that you haven't read, which is something I very much identify with when I used to buy actual physical books. I
Yeah.
probably still would if I actually went to a bookstore, but I don't do that very much anymore. I just collect beers that I don't drink, so there might be maybe there's a phrase for that. Anyway, good beer. Enjoyed it as I do with most things from Creature Comforts. I am now drinking Weldworks Key Lime Pie, which is a smoothie slash pastry sour with key limes, vanilla, graham cracker, and it turns out lactose. So that's gonna be fun. I'll be gurgling a little bit, but don't worry about me. I'll be fine. It's good. It's good. It's sour, but it tastes like all those things. Enjoying it. And then I'll be following up the show with the after party with the Patreon folks. Parish Brewing's Double Dry Hop Ghost in the Machine, which is a double dry hop New England IPA with over 8 pounds of Citra hops per barrel. So I remember when people got really excited about that. I'm excited that now you can find that. You can actually buy it. It doesn't sell
It's
out the second it
around. Yeah.
lands. But, yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to that. How about you, Tim? What are you doing?
I'm beerless this week. I have been
What?
so Brian's aware of this, y'all, and I haven't said anything. I've been trying to get it figured out, but the end of last year I went into the hospital for a while. I had an infection and they pumped me full of antibiotics, like IV antibiotics for many days. And ever since I've got out of there, my digestive system has decided there's things that it no longer cares for. So I don't know if it's coincident or related or whatever, but beer is one that it's been giving me grief when I drink beer. The problem being is it's inconsistent because I mean, yeah, I'm stubborn. Like a beer makes me not feel good. And I'm like, no, I'm not giving up beer. So I've been trying some more. And, I had the creature comforts, the Tritonia cucumber
Oh, yeah, that
lime.
one.
Didn't bother me, was totally
Mhm.
fine. We went out for Mexican food and I had a michelada and that was no issue at all. But then I drank a cream ale and almost died. So, it's the problem is that it's inconsistent. So I haven't been feeling great lately, so I'm going to avoid alcohol today. And y'all, I may have to become our resident NA guy here on the air. So,
It is growing as a style, and
yeah,
we have news
yeah.
about that. So
I guess if you have to make a shift, it is cool that there are options out there now. I'm not thrilled about it, but sometimes when you're 173 years old, things start to happen. But
you go
we'll see.
damp Micheladas and NA beers, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, maybe I just have to become an all michelada guy. Maybe I just have to do that.
Connoisseur.
So, or now one thing I did want to try since the sour beer didn't seem to bother me. Maybe there's something in the acidity of that helped. Maybe I become the resident goose and lambic guy, and I just
Oh,
I just drink all
interesting.
the gooses and lambics. So we'll see. But for tonight, water for tonight there. So.
All righty.
Nate, how about you? I know you got some beers in there.
Yeah, so I teased it earlier. Tonight's beers of the week has a theme to it. So going camping up near Robbinsville, North Carolina, I thought I would have North Carolina beers. So first off in my glass, I had from Sierra Nevada their Rad Little Thing, which is a West Coast blended with a New England IPA. So it's got that New England haze, that hop, that dry hop bite that you would expect out of a West Coast IPA. In my glass now from Oscar Blues, I've got their Old Chub, which is a Scotch ale. This is just one of those beers that it exists. You haven't had it in 5 years. So it was nice to revisit this. And then tailing off with Lazy Hiker out of Franklin, North Carolina. They've got their Lesser Evil Porter, which is just an American porter.
American porter.
You
That
said
sounds pretty good.
Wesser with a W? Is that a typo or
Wesser, Wesser,
okay?
evil porter. Yeah.
Wesser Evil. Is
There's
there
there's a
a
fire
reason?
lookout on the can, so I don't know if there's a particular reason. Let's see.
So that's
Let's see. The name
yeah.
is homage to nearby Westerwald.
Okay,
Oh,
I
okay.
figured
So
there
it is
had
a thing.
to be something there. So yeah, Dave's throwing me some suggestions here. Dave, appreciate it. He's talking about hop waters, and that's something I haven't tried that I could definitely give a shot and see. And Hoplark, we actually had Hoplark on the
Hmm.
show. Oh, it's been many years ago now, but we did
Yeah,
have him on the show, and they
Before.
do hop waters and hop teas
their
too
Sabro
with
hop water was
teas.
pretty
Yeah,
good. Pretty
yeah.
good.
And
Yeah.
NA ciders. He said there's NA cider. Well, I mean, I guess I knew that now that I'm saying.
I
It's
was
kind
gonna
of
say
like Dave,
there's
it's
NA
kind of funny
seltzer
because
too.
we were talking about that. We were joking about like when hard seltzers became a thing and NA's picking up, and we joked about one day you watch one of these alcoholic seltzer brands put out an NA, and I'll be darned, man, if White Claw
Yeah.
didn't come out. I'm like, yeah, that's called seltzer.
That's seltzer. That
That's
is
seltzer.
seltzer.
Yeah,
You,
we've
you
had that
guys,
one. You're not innovating here, but of course, for the people that are White Claw fiends, they're doing brand recognition there by doing that.
of course. Yeah.
So okay, all right, I got options, man. You do what you got to do sometimes there. That's for sure. So
There you
Nate,
go.
I think you got a little something something for us. We talked about this a while ago about
Hmm.
doing a style profile,
Yep.
and kind of diving into that. So we do have one we're going to dive back into, just kind of let you know about a style, what the attributes are to that.
Yeah.
And Nate, you've got us one that is dear to my heart with a little Ginny cream action there, but you're going to
Hmm.
cover the American style cream ale.
Yeah. So sorry that it recently gave you a nightmare situation,
It
but
did,
yeah.
man. Terrible,
So
terrible.
the cream ale, overall, according to the BJCP, it's a clean, attenuated, flavorful American lawnmower beer. This is something that you can easily drink, it's refreshing, but it has a little bit more body, a little bit more character than your typical lager. On the color, you're expecting it to be straw colored, maybe a little bit gold. It's got a little bit of a haze, but mostly that's going to be attributed to being it chilled. It's usually not going to be very present. But as far as these beers, they are crisp, refreshing, fermented warm with ale or lager yeast. Then they're lagered cold, which helps pull out a lot of the suspended particulates. As far as hop aroma and flavor, it's very low or even entirely absent. Bitterness very low, and the dominant flavor is a pale malt sweetness, and so it's going to be a medium bodied as far as malt goes, but just a really easy drinking beer. If it's 90 degrees, you're mowing your yard, or you just got done mowing your yard, this is a beer that can very easily refresh you.
Yeah, they're drinking beers, man. They're good old
Yeah.
drinking beers there. So that's something again, I have no problem. One thing I will say this, a lot of beers, you have your temperature range you go for. This one's good at cellar temp, this one's good
Hmm.
here. Cream ale, chill that sucker down for me, man. I'm
Yeah.
pull out of an icy cooler and I'm totally fine with it. And another thing I really like about cream ales, I think they are a great base for coffee. Like a coffee cream ale is just fantastic. So I
Mm-hmm.
think is Carton's regular coffee? I believe that's
I
a cream
I
ale
believe it
base,
I
is.
isn't
think
it?
so.
Yeah,
There may
yeah.
be some lactose in there too, though, like actual some sort of actual cream in there. I'm not 100% sure. I
Yeah.
want to say regular coffee does actually have lactose in it. Might be a cream ale. I don't know.
Yep. So it is an imperial cream ale. Uh, Imperial being 12%, so it is a little higher. It does have some lactose in it.
I
Okay.
thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we had, I think it was Rocket Republic over in Huntsville did a coffee cream ale. I think it was called Mach 4 or something like that. I don't recall
Sounds right.
exactly, but that was a really good one too. That was excellent. So yeah, cream ales by themselves or throw some coffee in there. Either one, I'm good with.
I did forget that most common commercial examples were Genesee Cream Ale, New Glarus Spotted Cow. Old Style was claimed as a cream ale. When I looked it up on Untapped, I didn't quite see it as being distributed as a cream ale, but BJCP suggested it, and then Sleeman cream ale.
I don't know Sleeman. I know the other one. New Glarus is a little bit of it's a little twist on the cream ale. It's got a little more going to it.
I've heard of Sleeman. I know the name. I don't know if I've ever.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had that particular beer though.
Yeah, they're out of Canada.
Okay.
There you go. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right. Well, Brian, as we mentioned, we've got some news on NA beers. And Brian, this one surprised me. I had to dig into this to read a little bit more. You know what? I'm gonna say it, Brian, and then I'm gonna let you tell the story about it.
Okay.
But the NA beer category is expected to surpass the L category in sales.
Yes. The non-alcoholic beer is, in fact, expected to become the second largest beer category worldwide in volume this year, surpassing the ale category. In 2024, overall beer volume increased about 1%, but at the same time, decreased by 1%, while at the same time, non-alcoholic beer grew by about 9% globally. Going forward, NA beer volume is projected to grow by 8% annually, at least through 2029. I think that's how far out they made their projections. At the same time, they predict ale volume will actually decrease by 2% annually, which is crazy. But despite its growth, non-alcoholic beer holds only about 2% of the world's beer market share. Lager remains the dominant category with 92% of the market share and is still growing. One of the big factors behind the growth of NA beer is, of course, a significant improvement of flavor of non-alcoholic beer in recent years. Additionally, nearly every major beer brand has introduced a zero-proof version of their beer in the last 5 years. And so if you have a brand that you like drinking, you can continue to drink it even if you decide to go dry. And in recent years, there have been a ton of celebrity endorsements and sports tie-ins and everything else for non-alcoholic beer, which is also something we didn't see 5 years ago. So there's a lot more very high-profile talk about non-alcoholic beer. But there's another interesting takeaway from the story, and I don't think any of us realized how much larger the lager category is than the ale category. So lager is 92% of the market share, and it's still growing. Ale is estimated to be between 3 and 5% of the total market share right now, and it's on the decline, apparently. That's kind of crazy how big of a difference there. It makes sense that there is a difference. It's amazing that it's like a 90% difference in terms of market share. So that's going to be crazy. But
I think that was the thing that really hit me when I first saw the headline. I'm like, no way. How is this? And again, we're beer nerds, so we've got a lot of ales in our repertoire there. So, but you look at it like the number one beer in the world, if I remember right, is actually a Chinese brand called Snow. That is like their version of a Bud, their BMC beers, so to speak. And that's lager. And I think around the world, your top selling beers are always lagers.
They are.
And obviously in a volume that just absolutely dwarfs, everything else. So that was one thing I always got into talking in forums and stuff is people would say, we had when Halfway Crooks opened here in Georgia, and they are known they brew a lot of lagers or pretty simple, drinking beers, high quality though. So somebody went down there the weekend they opened, and they were trying to tick the boxes, man. They wanted to go in. They're like, these guys only had 4 beers on, what in the world? They were mad about it, that's what they had on. We're a small percentage. The craft nerds, especially the guys who are, box tickers for Untapped, that's a small subset. When you're inside the bubble seems a lot noisier than it really is, but it's such a tiny percentage, and you go out like we've talked about how much these BMC beers sell. When Sam Adams made the comment of, Budweiser spills more beer on the floor than we make in a year. I think that it's really hard to grasp the actual scale of how different it is, especially when you look at a brewery the size of a Boston Beer Company or a Sweetwater or something like that. They seem pretty darn large, but they're still not, Bud, Miller Coors, or whoever brews Snow. there. So, and Zach West just chimed in and said he saw snow at Total Wine here. I want to try it. I'm going to have to go. And I think I heard that it was coming this way. So I'm going to have to get out there and see if this one kills me. Let's see if maybe I'll have to drink all Chinese beers. Maybe there's something there.
Maybe that'll work. You know what? The beers that you've tried recently, were they lagers or were they ales or were they a mix of the two? Because you know what? The micheladas would all be, those would be
That's
lagers,
a lager.
right?
Yeah. Am I allergic to ales now? That's a weird thing to happen. So
it could be. It could be the esters that come off of the ale yeast.
Might be something in the ale yeast. It's very so. I think the Tritonia that I had is an ale.
Is it? That's a Berliner. That would be a Berliner. So that would
we'll keep exploring. I'll either figure it out or kill myself. One of the two.
I do like. I didn't realize that snow had made it here. I don't think snow is still the number one. The last time I checked, but I think it's in the top 3. I think it got placed by something else. Yeah. So, but for a while it was China only. Like nobody'd ever heard of it. It was the biggest in the world, but it was only sold in China. China's massive, so that makes sense. But it's interesting. We've got it here because I did want to try that. I have it, and I haven't really been looking for it because I kind of forgot about it. But now I'm going to look for it.
You know, talking about someone dethroning snow, that would be surprising because I do remember when they said they were the best-selling beer in the world, looking at the sheer volume, and it was just insane. Like it's so according to my Google, snow is still number 1 in China.
Is it really? Okay.
So, yeah. And
I thought I'd seen that it had moved around, that it was no longer the top.
Yeah, and then of course you got I believe it's pronounced Tsingtao.
Yeah.
Yanjing, Harbin beer, and Zhujiang beer. My
don't know that one.
Chinese isn't that great, but apparently those are the popular brands there. But it looks like snow is up. Brian, I may be wrong. My data is from 2021.
I think it was from a few years ago. Yeah, right. In 2021 or 2020, it was there. I'll bet it's that dang Informer that did it to snow. That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
I've heard it's the Informer that was out for after it. So yeah,
that's it. I'm getting, man, getting. But interesting stuff there, man. Yeah, I wonder how many people got that one. I did.
Nobody.
Yeah. Do you know he's banned from the U.S.? I don't know what it is, but
is he really?
That like he still has a pretty good career in other parts of the world. He just can't come to he's just not U.S.
Okay.
So yeah.
I think I had Brian, heard that
apparently people thought he was a poser, but I guess he grew up in either Jamaica or a Jamaican neighborhood. And they're like, no, he's this is who he is. He's not fake.
I did at some point see something. I don't know if you said it to me or whatever. He was on a Jamaican radio show or whatever. So yeah, it seemed like the guy was pretty legitimate. I haven't heard anybody reference him at all in ages.
Nate has no idea what we're talking about here.
He's probably Googling
absolutely.
It.
If anybody in the chat knows, give us throw us a thumbs up or something.
Right.
But anyhow, moving right along, good old fun. Our favorite topic this year that we just can't get enough of, but we have another tariff update, this time specifically impacting aluminum and steel.
Yeah, bad news for the beer industry. This week, President Trump announced plans to double the tariffs on aluminum and steel. That's going from 25% to 50% effective Wednesday, June 4th. And if you're listening to the show when it drops, that means it's already happened, probably. And by the time you hear it, the increases will already be in effect, or there could have been a last-minute switcheroo, which has happened in the past. These increases will likely happen under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, which authorizes the president to impose tariffs for national security reasons. The reason that's important is that it means the current pending legal cases about tariffs will not affect these tariffs. So these will proceed without being influenced at all about those. So if you're holding out for those to make a difference, it ain't going to happen probably. As you know, aluminum tariffs hit brewers particularly hard due to their reliance on aluminum cans to package beer. Approximately 76% of all U.S. Packaged beer comes in cans. Though some smaller breweries have been able to get their cans domestically, I guess there's some sort of a sheet aluminum that is produced domestically you won't be subject to tariffs, but there's not enough of it for the big guys. That said, the aluminum prices as established by the Midwest Premium have already increased in price since the announcement. And of course, the president might delay or roll back the planned aluminum and steel increase as he has done with other recent tariffs. So there's just no telling what the future holds, but it looks like aluminum and steel will be going up in price for a while. So And the interesting thing is, as I've been
Fun.
saying that on all of the articles I've been saying, but even the Brewers Association, which is where I got this information, they're saying like this might be rolled back or delayed, and because
We just don't
it's
know.
such a
We
thing
don't know.
now. Yeah.
It'll be in effect for 3 days, and then something will happen, blah, blah, blah. So, one thing I'll say about this, I mean, this is it could be devastating not just to the beer industry, but many industries. I
Oh
mean, you're
yeah.
talking steel and aluminum. A lot of companies use that. But one thing that always got me, and I mentioned this to a brewer one time, and I got kind of a glazed look over it, but the drink local, buy local, support American, do this and that, and then they go to China to get their brew house. So
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
like, guys, come on now. Well, I get you here. So, you gotta
It's like,
you
but that
gotta work
doesn't
with us. And
count.
the thing is, it definitely you just save a lot on there. So my dad was a steel making man. My dad was in the steel business, retired from that, and he actually worked for a plant that was 51%. The last plant that he worked at, it was 51% American owned and 49% Japanese. And they did,
Oh.
a big collaboration thing for efficiencies. Japanese efficiencies in manufacturing just is hard to beat. So, pretty good partnership
I
there.
remember that era where everybody was talking about Japanese management styles and everything like that, and
Yeah.
the efficiencies and all that. We're still like in IT.
Dan and Kaizen workshops and all of that stuff.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
still seeing stuff like that. That's still continuing to
Yeah.
happen, but it was a huge deal. And I remember thinking, and I guess it's no longer really a risk of that Japan was basically taking over the US like late 80s. I was
Yeah.
like they're taking over. I don't know what happened.
Now it's
Stuff
China.
happened.
China's
Now
like,
it's
hey, we
China.
got
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
We
now it's
we
China,
we
I
got
guess.
this one,
I don't
man.
know. I don't know how this works, but okay, it's China now.
Crazy stuff, man. Crazy. Well, Brian, before we move on, how about we give a shout out to Truck and Tap?
That is a good idea. So, for the entire month of June, every pontoon beer you buy at Truck and Tap will benefit Paddle for Tomorrow, a nonprofit organization that helps young people develop self-confidence, erase stigmas, promote tolerance and understanding, and appreciate the environment through fun and sustainable outdoor activities. And accordingly, there are a variety of pontoon beers on tap at each Truck and Tap location. So, my beer picks for the week will be pontoon beers. I don't think I've ever done this, just like one
One brewery.
brewery's
You're
beers,
off
but
the rails, Brian.
I'm doing it this time. It's for a good cause. I'm just going
Fair
to say
enough.
that. At Truck and Tap Woodstock, I'm going with Pontoon Soul Crusher. It's a Mexican-style lager with subtle hints of prickly pear and lime that promises to transport your palate to Central America. Hopefully the rest of you goes with it, or that might be a little
Just your palate.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm sure it'll be refreshing. At the Duluth location, just your palate. I'm getting Pontoon's Aquatronic. It's a New England double IPA with Idaho 7, Citra, and Simcoe hops. It's said that this beer is loaded down with both mango and sweet citrus character. That sounds nice. I like that. At Truck and Tap Alpharetta, my pick is Pontoon's Crushing Waves. This fruited kettle sour features pineapple and tart cherries, and it sounds like an appetizer for cocktails at the Overproof Rum Bar on the roof. So you drink that, and now you're ready for some tiki drinks. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, I'm going with Pontoon's One Ski. This New England IPA isn't quite as boozy as that Aquatronic double IPA I mentioned previously, and it features Citra, Mosaic, Eldorado hops. But if I could recommend one follow-up beer after you've had that one, they also have Highlands Gaelic Ale on top, which is a classic amber ale created by a now departed legend, Rip Oscar Wong. And there you have my beer picks for the week. And of course, after you've had your pontoon for a good cause, you're going to want to see what else is on tap. You can do that right now if you want at truckandtap.com. And while you're there, you can also find out about what food trucks will be on site when you visit, what activities will be happening. And if you're heading to the Alpharetta location, you can peruse the cocktail list for the Overproof Rum Bar. I guess now the Overproof Rum and Tequila Bar, but I was looking at the cocktail menu before the show, and I'm very ready for tiki drinks, but I guess they're starting to mix in some tequila stuff
Tequila
too.
too, huh? All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
All
So
right.
I'm gonna have to get over there at sometime soon while the weather's nice and while it's a prime tiki drinking season. So
That
anyway,
sounds like a plan.
thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Thank you, Truck and Tap. We appreciate it.
Yep.
So, Brian, another story we've been following for a while. This one was quiet for a long time. We don't even have a lot this time, but a tiny update. Anchor Brewing, Brian. What's happening with Anchor?
I had to read between the lines to find out where the news was, but there's a little bit here. It's been a year since Hamdi Ulukaya, which I hope I said his name right. He's a billionaire. He could have me killed. He's the founder of Chobani yogurt brand, and he bought Anchor Brewing in San Francisco. At the time, he stated on social media his desire to reopen the brewery and continue brewing the beers we know and love. It's a historical institution and all that. I went and watched it again. It's a really nice little video, but there have been no official updates since. It's been a year. And reportedly, there have been no signs of renovations or repairs taking place on site. However, the San Francisco Standard reported earlier this year that the new ownership had gotten license, and it said ownership. I think there's a group involved, not just him, but I don't know. They had gotten a license from the California Alcohol Beverage Control, allowing them to make beer and import and wholesale beer, wine, and spirits. So it seems like there has been a small amount of progress towards opening the brewery again. But it also sounds like it may end up being more than just the Anchor we know and love in terms of their beer. There might be a lot more going on. I'm interested in the importing part. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they're becoming a distributor as well. I don't know. I don't think they could do that. I don't think that's even legal. But as to what's taking so long, it's anyone's guess. It's California, so my guess is possibly a little bit of red tape at least, and maybe some shifting priorities. They are getting wholesaler stuff in there too. I don't know what's going on with that. Or maybe they're just waiting out the tariffs at this point. Maybe it's not worth the time to do the renovations they want to do, and they're just going to wait and see if those tariffs drop off at some point and then open. I honestly have no idea. I don't know if you guys have theories about why it might be, but I've got some crackpot theories.
I have nothing. The only thing I would have was, and totally shooting, is it's just not as big of a priority as it was at first. I mean, if it takes you a year, because, they were talking about trying to get this back going. People wanted to keep their jobs. People from the old Anchor Brewing, you can't sit around forever waiting on this,
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's red tape. Maybe it was trying to figure it out. You talked about Brian, wholesale beer, wine, import. Maybe they're trying to diversify. Maybe Anchor Brewing in and of itself was not sustainable. Obviously, the Sapporo, is that who had them?
Sapporo had them, yeah.
Obviously, Sapporo didn't think it was. So maybe they're trying to figure out a way to make it a little more sustainable, especially in the tough beer economy we got right now.
Could be.
Who knows? That's my speculation.
My tinfoil hat theory is maybe, just maybe, he's intentionally dragging his feet. So the union that was there goes off and does their own thing, disbands, and loses interest in it because they have to move on with their lives eventually. That way he doesn't have to deal with them in the future and whatever that might mean. I'm like, that's a lot of, so that is a little crazy. It's a little loony because that's a lot of expensive property he's going to be paying taxes on for a while just to avoid working with certain people. So
that was kind of my thinking, is the cost to do that would offset,
Yeah. It's like you want to believe that because, like, oh, he's an evil billionaire. It's like, yeah, but
I don't want to
so
believe that. You do. That's your issue with the billionaire.
Well, I no, it's just because
I'm aspirational, Brian.
That's yeah. No, I'm sorry. I don't have any ill will towards the guy. I don't know anything about him, to be honest. I'm just saying that makes a better story. It's the the villainous guy. Anyway, I don't want to believe that, and I don't necessarily think that's true. It's just that immediately popped into my head.
That make a great yogurt and buy a brewery to save it, and Brian's like, let's make him the bad guy.
I will say that everything about him now, when they're talking about what's going on, they do preface it with the billionaire, which is kind of almost a negative term. Like, he's a billionaire. He doesn't care about us. Like, I mean, I imagine that's a priorities thing. Like you were saying, it's probably just like, this was a higher priority. Like, we've got it now. We can proceed as we, have time to do it. And dude's probably busy as heck. He's got other businesses to run. So I don't know.
Yogurt empire.
I know, a yogurt empire. Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows, man? Who knows? Who knows what's going on? Maybe it's just taking a long time. A lot going on there for sure. Well, Brian, some more sad news. We've lost a few big names in the beer business, but this week another passed away, Martin Cornell.
Yeah, I've been hating the news the past couple of weeks. This week we lost beer author, and historian Martin Cornell. He passed away just a few weeks shy of his 73rd birthday. He may not be as widely known as Michael Jackson or Ron Pattinson, but he has been incredibly influential in the world of beer over the past few decades. For example, he is the one debunked with, credited with debunking, or is the one that debunked the inaccurate mythology surrounding the creation of the IPA that we've all heard. And I think people still repeat this. Before he debunked it, it was commonly believed by pretty much everyone that IPA was invented to survive the long journey to India. They like, hey, if we put a lot of hops in this pale ale, it'll make it all the way to India. And like, boom, that's why IPA was created. Cornell's research showed that significant amounts of strong hoppy porters were already being sent to India and continued to be sent to India well after the IPA had arrived on the scene. He revealed that the IPA really gained popularity through marketing to British drinkers because they were fascinated with all things India and the Raj. It's an exciting, exotic location, and they don't have the internet, so they don't have any idea what that's like. They just hear stories. So rather than it ever being solely a functional beer for export, and I don't even know how much of it really was exported to India, that much is unclear. He's also credited with debunking the 3 threads myth about the creation of porter, another fun creation myth here. Basically, the idea is the porter was created by pubs blending 3 different beers together, so they were making it on site. That wasn't ever really a thing. Maybe some people were blending beers, but probably not to create a style of beer. He tracked that down to a single 1802 account in some periodical or some newspaper that was heavily quoted and repeated until it became a fact. So if you tell the same lie often enough, long enough, it just becomes a fact. And no, that was never a thing. So he's credited with that. His new comprehensive 477-page book, Porter and Stout, which he's worked on for years, was actually released this week, a couple of days after he passed. So he doesn't get to see the response of that book. And I think a lot of people have been looking forward to it. So if you're looking for something new to read and you enjoy beer history, add that to your beer reading list and raise a glass to Martin Cornell.
Sure enough, sounds interesting. I love beer history. Anything that I'm into, I like to hear the history of. It's always fascinating. Where did it come from? Where did it go, Brian?
Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of references.
So many weird 90s references happening right now. Is that 90s or is that 80s? I don't even know.
That's 90s.
Is that
That's
90s?
The 90s one. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, well, Brian, we'll see how many more of these we can work into the show. But until we figure out another one, if you've ever thought about entering beer competitions, here's some tips from the Brewers Association.
Yeah. They came out with let's see, it was the craft beer ambassador for Europe did an interview with Beer Today in the UK, and just giving brewers tips on like how would you enter our beer competitions. So I thought this is useful to professional brewers, but I think it'll be really useful to home brewers trying to win some medals at their regional competitions. So this works for just about anybody. So the tips are, to start off with, you need to choose the right category for your beer. Ensure your beer is entered into the precise category matching its style guidelines for that competition. Misplaced entries, even for excellent beers, will lead to disqualification and poor scores. For example, a great barrel-aged stout that gets submitted to the American style stout category that isn't barrel-aged isn't probably going to do very well. They may drink it and say that's amazing, but it's not to style. So always double check your category selection to avoid wasting your entry fees if you're paying them. To double down on it, make sure you adhere to the style guidelines for your competition. This is a little different. You need to make sure you read and follow the competition's style guidelines. Again, they may be different than the other guidelines you see for other competitions. It's really up to them to decide what's what. So they make it up. Your really popular beer in your tap room or with your friends isn't going to win if it doesn't conform to what their specific style descriptors and specifications are. And for commercial brewers especially, you need to verify your eligibility to enter the competition to begin with. Some competitions have restrictions on brewery size, ownership, and production volume. So apparently that's a thing for some people. They enter, they don't know why they don't win anything. It's like, you're too big, or you're owned by somebody that we're not, maybe you're owned by AB InBev or something.
You're
like that.
Ineligible for this.
Ineligible. So make sure you're actually even eligible. Be strategic with your beer category selection. We have heard this one before. You increase your chances of winning by entering less crowded categories. While winning a large category offers you a lot more bragging rights, like it's awesome to like win the big IPA category. A medal from a smaller category is still a great, valuable award that's worth bragging about. Do some pre-competition quality control. I've done a little tasting for some beer competitions in my time, and this is definitely one that needs to be repeated to people. Taste your beer before you send it. Make sure it tastes right. Ensure your beer is as fresh as possible for optimal judging. I remember being in a thing where I was tasting beers and something, I forget what the style was, but something was just straight up a cider. Like, this is either really gone off or it's completely miscategorized. They like, you should have tasted this before you sent it. Make a point of writing your own entry submission. As the brewer, you possess the most accurate knowledge of your beer. If tasting notes are required, write them yourself. And for the professional people, don't let your marketing folks handle this. You should write this yourself. For experimental herb and spice categories, provide clear factual information on the base beer style and additional flavors to assist judges. Avoid overly descriptive or colorful language. That's not going to help you out at all. And the last one is to manage your logistics effectively. Pay close attention to deadlines for sample entries and the required number of samples. The people get disqualified because they don't send enough samples to the competition, or I think you might even get disqualified if you send too many. So you have to just abide by the rules. You know, that's gonna serve you well. Ship samples in the fastest method possible, even if it costs more, to minimize exposure to ambient temperatures, assuming that the people on the receiving end are going to store them well. Hopefully they will at a competition. Utilize any free shipping options provided by the competition organizer if that's available. So that's always a good thing. That's just a good tip for anybody. Like, save a little money. If they're giving you a way to get it to them for free, then use that. That's probably gonna follow all the rules as well. So that's about it.
Yeah, that's a good, and it's definitely not always easy to choose which category you want to go into.
Oh, yeah.
We did a peach saison, Brian. Of course, you remember synesthesia pesh.
Yes.
And put it in a competition, and it did. I scored well, but I didn't. I don't think I medaled in that one. And talking to the judges, I entered it in the fruited beer category, or I forget what it was called. It's been a while. And talking to one of the guys that judged it, he's like, "Hey, one thing you remember when you're in the fruit category, the fruit has to be dominant. That's that category there. So, and ours was definitely a saison with peach notes,
Mm-hmm.
but if I'd put it in the saison category, it may have been detrimental to it because of the peach in there.
I think that was the case of a great beer that fit no categories.
Yeah,
that's the problem there.
And talking to a lot of these brewers that do a lot of the experimental stuff, that's what they've talked about, like GABF and all that. That it's sometimes a crapshoot. Let's get it into. I don't know where it doesn't really fit here or here. Let's get it into this. And see what we can do. It can definitely be challenging. And talk about sending enough samples. There's multiple rounds, and if you move forward, you got to have another one in line, to move to that next level of judging. So we had a buddy one time, Brian, that his method was to look at the categories that were not popular and perfect those styles. Like his goal is, I want to win medals in a competition, So I think he got stuck on maybe brown ale one time and did it quite a few times. And I believe he ended up, getting some medals for it, because you'd go to a competition where there's like seven others. And of course that's a homebrew level competition, but not a lot of competition there.
I wouldn't be angry at being able to really nail a brown ale, because when was the last time you had just a brown ale? Like, there are not a lot of them out there. And I tell you, at one point in time, it was one of my favorite go-to styles, like a porter or a brown ale for cigars. Having a cigar and a beer.
Well, fair enough.
Nothing better than a brown ale, man. A well-made brown ale is perfect. Love it. So don't see them around that often anymore. But yeah, nothing wrong with doing that.
Do it up, man. That's what I find them in general to be a bit boring on their own. So every now and then there's a really good one, but I think even I would say good brown ales are kind of boring to me. So every now and then there's a really good one, and I'm like, okay, that's good. But
that's why you have
tough.
You have a really good cigar. You have a not you have a beer that's not going to steal the show from your cigar was always my thought. So a
fine.
Newcastle Brown or something like that, not super exciting, enjoyable, but it went well with the cigar. So I'm really enjoying the nuances of the cigar. I'm enjoying the beer just fine. It's, it's contributing, but it's not stealing the show,
Right.
which is what I like. So
Fair enough, Brian.
Yeah.
You can live your life. So
exactly.
I
And
mean, it's
have.
now or never. That's what you just got to do it. So yeah. Yeah. Brian, I do not know. Okay, I see. I was trying to read your headline. It didn't make sense to me. And we're talking about mosquitoes
Yes.
and about getting bit by mosquitoes, Brian.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they may just like your beer choices.
It's possible. Like if you're getting bit a lot, it could be the beer. So according to an article in the Smithsonian Magazine, 20% of people are consistently more attractive to mosquitoes than other people. And there are a number of reasons for that. But the first one I am going to talk about is near and dear to my heart, alcohol. Drinking a liter of beer has been apparently shown to increase your attractiveness to mosquitoes. The exact reason isn't known, according to the article, as it hasn't been directly linked to changes in CO2 emissions or body temperature. Now, I'm going to stop right there. I know after I've had a few beers, I warm up, depending on how big the beers are. But a single liter of like a Pilsner, probably not too much, but a good pastry stout, I have a pint of that. I'm going to feel a little warm. I don't know about you guys. It
Gotcha.
warms you up. There's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff in there. So I don't know if they're judging this the right way. I'm also guessing, this is me just speculating, that it could be the changed aroma of your sweat after you drink. And you know what I mean? If you drink a fair amount, your sweat does do different things. So I have no proof of that, but there is something else in the story about sweat. So that could be part of it. But anyway, I'm speculating. Hopefully they'll figure that out so we can figure out how to get around it. But there are other factors that might make you a target for a mosquito. If you have type O blood, stop it. Just change that because mosquitoes really like that.
That's good advice.
Yeah, you could totally do that. Just get like it's an oil change. 85% of people secrete a chemical signaling what type of blood they have, and if you're one of those people that signals, mosquitoes love that too. So if you're type O and you signal it, you're screwed. You're just gonna get nailed by the mosquitoes. So as mentioned earlier, carbon dioxide emission. So the more you exhale CO2 over time, the more you're going to attract mosquitoes. Exercise, something you should never do. Strenuous exercise increases lactic acid, ammonia, body heat, all of which attracts mosquitoes at a close range. So you definitely don't want to do any of that. Never exercise. Terrible idea. Not a doctor. Don't do what I say. Skin bacteria is a thing. Large amounts of certain types of bacteria can make you more appealing to mosquitoes. Don't know what they are. They didn't mention it. Sweat chemistry, which is what I mentioned earlier. Some people just taste better for some reason, and if your sweat is perceived as bitter, mosquitoes won't be as into you. So if you're getting in some of those pastry stouts and you got that sweet sweat, mosquitoes like that. They're going to get all over you. Interesting clothing color. I've heard this, but I didn't realize what the colors were. Colors like black, red, orange, and cyan, corresponding to longer wavelengths of light emitted by human skin, may make individuals easier for mosquitoes to find. So black makes you stand out, as does red, orange, and cyan. Colors like green, purple, blue, and white are in a study were ignored for the most part by mosquitoes. So yeah, that's it's weird, but that's how that works. And there is a genetic factor. Underlying genetic factors are a key driver in a variation of attractiveness to mosquitoes. Some body odors and things like that attract mosquitoes more than others, and they're tied to genes. So yeah,
okay.
So that's a thing.
My speculation is a lot of it probably falls on genetics, and that's because there's people that I know, Brian, fruit flies love you, and no matter where we are, if there is a fruit fly in the area, he's going to find you, and he's going to find your glass as well. So
he's going to find my beer and kill himself in it.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? This is where I need to die, man. Right here. Right.
This is the hill I die on, or the pint I die in. Yeah.
This is it. Yeah. So interesting though, man. So we'll have to keep an eye out. I haven't seen a ton of mosquitoes lately, and that's a different story because I believe they say that insect populations in general are in huge decline. And they're like,
really?
Look, we need to pay attention to this, because you think about it, Brian, if you remember back when you were younger, you'd take a road trip. Like, let's say you went from Atlanta to Orlando, the whole front end of your car would be splattered with bugs.
Oh
But
yeah.
that doesn't happen anymore, man. That's you probably don't think about it, but you never see front ends of vehicles just absolutely painted with bugs anymore.
You're
So,
right. I haven't
yeah,
seen that in a
yeah.
while. Yeah.
And they say
Wow.
that is likely just due to declining populations there. So
It could be like a
crazy.
pollution tie-in or something like that, maybe, or
I
who
think,
knows
yeah,
what.
we're just, we've been gassing them forever, trying to get rid of them and
True.
all that, and just climate change in general. So I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. So,
Maybe
I
they're
don't.
eating all the microplastics and that's what's doing them
They're
in.
just weighed down. They're not flying across the road because their
They're
little fat
crawling.
butts are just setting out in the. Oh my god! I'd like to fly to the other side of this highway, but I just ate 4 pounds of plastic. So,
Yeah, that's probably it.
poor
That's probably
bugs,
it.
man. Poor bugs and
Poor bugs.
microplastics. That about wraps it up for our show this week. Again, we thank you for coming and hanging out with us. If you enjoy what we're doing here, we'd love for you to tell a friend to tune in to the show, subscribe to the podcast. If you really dig us and you want to support us on Patreon, we would be very appreciative. Just go to patreon.com/beer guys. We'll get you some cool swag. We will get you into the Patreon Discord chat. We'll invite you to hang out with us for the after party. It's just going to be a good time all around, y'all. It's just going to be fun. But with all that said, we do hope that you all have a really good week. And don't forget to drink local. Cheers. Clear, 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 clear.
I don't know why I wave to the end of the podcast
Ryan,
recording
just
every time. Every
like
time.
that
I
thing.
like
Thank you.
stop it, smack my hand away.
What TV show was it? Like the whole thing, they're just waving it off there. I don't know. We are going to end the live stream. Thanks. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good week. If you are a Patreon subscriber, we're going to drop the link over in Discord so you can come hang with us if you would like to. Have a good one, y'all. We'll see you next week.